This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Tonight on The South Today, the Brockville community is rallying together, holding its own Polyfest after the Otago show was cancelled. Wakatipu High School's end-of-year camp is under threat due to the fallout from COVID-19. And the Amberley AMP show is being hailed as a success after hundreds flock to the annual event. Kia ora, good evening, I'm Daryl Baser. COVID-19 has caused the cancellation of many events across the globe. In Dunedin, the annual Polyfest at the Edgar Centre was one of those casualties. However, one Dunedin suburb has decided to stage its own event and is now challenging others to do likewise. Toru whā. Following the cancellation of this year's Polyfest in Dunedin, Brockville's kindergarten, primary school and kohanga reo have teamed up to hold their own Polyfest, celebrating cultures from the Pacific region.
So I think this is history in the making, and that we hope that we can do this every year from now on. Yeah. It brings our communities together, which is absolutely beautiful.
The hall at Brockville School was bursting with proud whānau members cheering their tamariki on. Brockville Kindi's head kaiako Julie Baird says both the primary school and kohanga reo were only too happy to take part.
Our children shine every year in that, and we have children that are leaders and our rangatira, and so we thought we didn't want those children to miss out this year, so we gave all the education services in the Brockville area a ring and voila, Brockville Polyfest.
Organisers estimate around 400 people came through the hall for the event over the day.
Is bringing all of our community together. We're so close to each other, our kohanga, our kindi and our school, and it's nice for us to be able to do something together and share with our community.
Brockville Principal Tania McDonald says hosting a Polyfest embraces the school's values.
Te reo and tikana Māori is a big part of our curriculum at Brockville School, and also our Pacifica culture is a big part of everything that we do. So for us it's about all the work that's been going on behind the scenes and being able to bring it together in a community event, which is really special.
The organisers are laying down a wedo or challenge to schools and kindies in other suburbs to host their own Polyfests, possibly in a lead-up to Dunedin's Polyfest 2021. In Dunedin, The South Today. One person is dead following a crash on State Highway 1 north of Dunedin this afternoon. 2 other people were injured after a tree fell on vehicles at the Kilmog. Police say they were called to the Waikawa-Iti Waitati Road just after midday. A witness says a willow came down at the bottom of the Kilmog on State Highway 1. A digger, which was already near the scene, cleared the pieces of tree from the road, allowing it to reopen soon after the crash. The road is expected to remain mostly closed while the police serious crash unit investigates. For more than 50 years, Wakatipu High School pupils have gone on an annual end-of-year 12-day camp. But due to so many local businesses being affected by COVID-19, pupils are having to find other ways of earning money to pay for the camp.
These Year 10 pupils from Wakatipu High School in Queenstown are working as volunteers at the local play centre before getting to go on their end-of-year camp.
The Branches Camp has been running for about 53 years now, and Year 10 students go in beyond Skipper's Canyon onto the Branches station for 12 days without any Wi-Fi, and they do a range of outdoor activities.
In past years, the pupils have earned money towards their camp by working temporary jobs around Queenstown. But with many businesses in decline due to COVID-19, that's not been possible this year. Instead, the firms that are doing well, such as in the construction industry, are sponsoring the pupils because health and safety means the youngsters can't actually work on a construction site.
While we're here, we'll be helping out with planting and we'll be cleaning and just helping out around the place.
The new model of sponsoring pupils has been a huge success and one which may continue into the future.
so overwhelmed. We've just about got more jobs than students to fill the jobs at the moment, especially with the number of sponsored ships we've received. So we're thrilled, and moving forward it's a model that we'd like to keep working with, especially as the numbers keep increasing coming into the school every year.
And the pupils come away with hopefully a better understanding of what it means to do voluntary work in the community.
Is probably an insight for a lot of them that they haven't had before, and will perhaps lead to maybe an urge or a bit of a passion in that area, and it may even lead to long-term sort of volunteer commitment.
Other places the pupils have been volunteering include Baskets of Blessing, Wakatipu Reforestation Trust and the Salvation Army. In Queenstown, the South Today.
Emergency services were called to a crash between a car and a truck in the Dunedin suburb of Andersons Bay this morning. A Fire and Emergency New Zealand spokesman says crews were called to the scene just before 7:45 this morning. The car was left with significant damage following the collision near the intersection of Timaru Street and Portobello Road. No one needed to be extracted from the vehicles, and the occupants of the car were treated at the scene for minor injuries. Despite the cancellation of many AMP shows due to COVID-19 uncertainty, one show went ahead last weekend. Crowds flocked to the Amberley AMP show on Saturday, which boasted the biggest collection of sheep on display in a decade.
After the cancellation of other A&P shows and events around Canterbury due to COVID-19 concerns, Amberley's A&P show provided a chance for the rural community to come together on Saturday and have their sheep judged, sample some barbecued beef and lamb, and enjoy a good range of fairground attractions. On display were a sustainable alternative to plastic and synthetic products such as hemp and wool blends for knitwear.
It's a huge range of clothing, so we've got icebreaker, smart wool, the all-bird shoes that are made for the woolen upper, and the sugarcane sole.
It was the biggest sheep show that Amberley has seen in at least 10 years, with about 240 sheep entered from as far south as Oamaru and as far north as Blenheim. About 50 Corriedale sheep were showcased at the event, and this year they were judged on a level playing field, with breeders submitting a selection of lambs back in February to be raised on a single farm in exactly the same conditions.
Just trying to get away from the whole sort of showing type system and just seeing how good our sheep can do, all getting fed the same conditions.
Corriedale sheep are farmed for both meat and wool, with the mid-micron fleece giving farmers a boost in a challenging market.
This year our most valuable fleece was only $32. Last year that would have been $50 to $55, so we've certainly seen a drop with COVID with our wool, but we're just hearing now that our wool's starting to climb back up, so we hope to get back to last year's levels.
One of the next events on the Woolly calendar is the Canterbury A&P Association Elite Ram Fair at the end of this month. In Amberley, the South Today.
And still to come on the South Today, a drop in New Zealand dairy prices is being blamed on COVID-19. And we have a special in-depth look at the 2020 US presidential elections with University of Otago International Relations expert Robert Patman. See you after the break.
Hi, Alec Campbell Menswear. We're back in George Street on the corner of Hanover Street. Come and check out our big store. It's a big space full of bargains. Now look at these shirts. There's shirts for everybody here. Look at these merino pullovers, stacks of moleskins, literally tons of trousers. And check out these big racks of sports jackets. Beautiful.
Every reason, every season, we're proud to dress the region. Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
So come and check out Alec Campbell Menswear. We're back on George Street in the old ANZ building.
If you're at risk of developing melanoma skin cancer, you owe it to yourself to have a mole map. MolMap is coming to your area. Phone today to make an appointment. It could save your life.
Every season, we're proud to dress the region. Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
A poorly maintained heat pump can lose up to 35% of its output. The Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner team are experts. Their specially developed chemical wash is totally biodegradable. Call Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner and get the job done by the professionals.
Business success for us is really about providing a good service to the region. We don't always look at what goes on outside of our own insulated businesses, especially for us. And Dunedin and Otago has got a lot of innovation. It's a great opportunity to celebrate that. So the category we're supporting is distribution and logistics, and it's just the key that the companies that basically glue everything together in the supply chain.
You've seen us in the street, now find us online. Check out shopon.org.nz. We have all sorts of treasures, from retro and vintage clothing to antiques, homewares and accessories. New items added every week. We're open 24/7.
Nō mai anō, welcome back. The Motatapu Mountain Race is back in Queenstown hands, with a local couple having bought the rights to the popular event. The event provides the only opportunity for people to traverse the Motatapu, Glencoe and Mount Soho high country stations. The race was sold last week by Ironman to locals Gemma Pescott and Craig Gallagher. The pair have moved next year's event forward a week to March the 6th and scaled it back to 4 categories. It's set to feature a marathon, mountain bike, ultra run and 15-kilometre miners trail. The Queenstown Lakes Trust charity is set to receive a percentage of entry fees. In today's Global Insight, Professor Robert Patman says even COVID-19 hasn't been able to overcome the deep divisions the US presidential election is revealing in United States society. The University of Otago International Relations Specialist says whatever the result, the outcome will have a significant impact on New Zealand.
The result of the US presidential election is uncertain. Both sides are going to the courts. It could be days before it's decided which of two very different visions for the United States and the world will take the reins of power. Welcome, Robert.
Morning, Bruce.
Donald Trump has called for officials to stop counting votes. What legal basis or precedent does he have for this call?
None, as far as I can tell. I'm not a legal expert, Bruce, but the nearest parallel is in 2000 during the Gore-Bush contest when the Supreme Court halted a recount, but they never halted the initial count. So there's no precedent for this. What's happening at the moment in the United States is perfectly normal, which is in a democratic election, eligible voters are having their votes counted. Some of those votes have been delivered by mail. And this is absolutely normal. As we know, in New Zealand, votes are still being counted here. So, you know, this is not an exceptional situation. And the other question that one has to ask, quite apart from the dubious legality of this move by Mr. Trump, is the political logic of it. If you're winning, as he claimed, why would you want to halt the vote? I would think if you've got a handsome lead, you'd like to keep it going. You might even increase it. So, and get even more, a bigger base of support. So it's curious.
If Biden or Trump were to win, for each of them, what would be the significance or the impact of that for New Zealand?
Very significant. It's much easier for the Ardern-led government to work closely with the Biden administration. Several things became evident, Bruce, in the second debate between Biden and Trump, which had deep significance for this country. Firstly, Biden indicated when he was challenged how he would handle relations with China, said he would hold them to account according to international rules, which of course New Zealand is a great believer in the multilateral system, sometimes called the international rules-based system. Why? Because we're not big enough to make our own rules, and many small countries and medium-sized countries like New Zealand need a rules-based system so they can go about their business in a way that's fair and equitable. They do not favour Mr. Trump's vision, which is an international free-for-all where outcomes are decided on the basis of raw power. So Mr. Biden indicated that he favours a strengthening of the rules-based system, which after all American presidents till Mr. Trump backed. Secondly, Joe Biden indicated towards the end of the debate with Trump, the last debate, that he favoured a paradigm shift in energy. And he said that oil producers in the United States would have to face the reality that we only have 10 years left before, according to scientists, climate scientists, we face a tipping point with climate change. And Biden said we simply do not have any alternative but to energetically embrace the change in that area so that future generations are not confronted with irreversible consequences of climate change and global warming. So I think on that basis, given that climate change is an area that Jacinda Ardern feels very strongly about, I think that there's a much stronger basis for cooperation with the Biden administration. But let's not have any illusions about this. Even if Joe Biden, and it looks like he will form an administration at this point, although there's a great deal of uncertainty as you indicated, of the two he looks the stronger now. If he does form an administration, we must be alive to the fact that we won't have an identical perspective to the United States. And a superpower like the United States, whether it's run by Joe Biden or Donald Trump, will have a set of interests which do not always precisely coincide with our own. But having said that, I do think there's much greater scope for cooperation.
Thank you, Robert.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching. Catch us next time on Global Insight. Noho ora mai.
And you can watch the full interview with Professor Patman online at odt.co.nz. And after the break on The South Today, we catch up with riders on the Tour of Southland, and we have a look at your weather as we gradually amble toward the weekend. See you after the break.
Every season, we're proud to dress the region. Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
A poorly maintained heat pump can lose up to 35% of its output. The Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner team are experts. Their specially developed chemical wash is totally biodegradable. Call Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner and get the job done by the professionals.
Hi, Alex Campbell Menswear. We're back in George Street on the corner of Hanover Street. Come and check out our big store. It's a big space full of bargains. Now look at these shirts. There's shirts for everybody here. Look at these merino pullovers, stacks of moleskins, literally tons of trousers. Check out these big racks of sports jackets. Beautiful.
Every reason, every season, we're proud to dress the region. Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
So come and check out Alex Campbell Menswear. We're back on George Street in the old ANZ building.
If you're at risk of developing melanoma skin cancer, you owe it to yourself to have a mole map. Mole map is coming to your area. Phone today to make an appointment. It could save your life.
Celebrating business is about understanding what we do and why we do it. Sustainability is one of our key themes, so to be the sustainability and resilience sponsor, it's a fantastic thing because it's helping our community to grow and it's providing pathways for our learners and helping our community to use our learners while they're with us as well. So it's a win-win for everyone, really.
Ah, TV, our favourite babysitter. But it can be tough keeping up with what our tamariki are watching. Luckily, the Broadcasting Standards Authority has made some smart changes to the classification labels. Ooh! Plus changes to the time of day certain rated shows will air and awesome new parental lock features, meaning your babysitter's job is safe. Find out more at safeviewing.co.nz.
Step into Shop on Carol and discover a shop full of treasures. We have a fantastic range of vintage and retro clothes, upmarket clothing labels, collectible items, beautiful jewellery, quality linen and the best range of vintage haberdashery.
Thanks for staying with us. Queenstown cyclist Ruben Thompson climbed his way into the lead at the midway point of the Tour of Southland yesterday. Despite spending 2 weeks in managed isolation during the build-up to the Tour, he delivered a devastating attack up the incline on stage 3. Fellow rider Michael Vink initially led the main group of riders up the Remarkables Road. But Thompson, a former triathlete, eventually powered away from the group. The tough 6-kilometre hill climb was at the conclusion of a 109-kilometre stage which started at Mossburn earlier in the day. Thompson's effort meant he starts today's 4th stage from Invercargill Bluff in the yellow jersey with a useful 23-second lead. And now recapping tonight's top stories on the South Today. The Brockville community is rallying together, holding its own Polyfest after the Otago show was cancelled. Wakatipu High School pupils do sponsored volunteer work to help pay for their end-of-year camp. And the Amberley AMP show is being hailed as a success after hundreds flocked to the event to see a large collection of sheep. Time now for a look at what's happening in tomorrow's Otago Day Times. We welcome the Deputy Editor, Craig Page. Kia ora, Craig. How you doing?
Hello, Daryl. Yeah, still waiting for a result in the US election. We're all waiting patiently for that. It's looking more and more like the US will have a new president with Joe Biden. Some media have got them 6 votes short of that magic 270 number. But of course, you never quite know what Donald Trump's got up his sleeve, and there's all sorts of legal threats going on at the moment. So yeah, we wait. We continue to wait. Yeah, it's sort of making New Zealand's election look a bit tame.
What's your favourite? Is it on a knife edge, hanging in the balance? Which is your favourite cliche?
Oh, I don't like cliches, Daryl. They've been knocked out of me after 30 years in the business. So we'll have the latest tonight, obviously, and a full coverage in tomorrow's ODT on that as well. A bit of a nasty accident on State Highway 1, sadly a fatal this afternoon, involving a fallen tree just at the bottom of Kilmog. 2 other people seriously injured as well. So the Serious Crash Unit are investigating that, and we'll have the latest in tomorrow's paper as well. Now, everyone loves reading about other people's homes, and we look at them enviously. We've got a bit of a treat tomorrow. Dunedin Heritage building enthusiasts Ted and Etta Daniels have built a modern apartment on the top of the Dunedin's historical Stanton building that overlooks the Queen's Gardens. It was built in 1907, the building, a bit run down. They've taken it on, and if anyone that is watching, I don't know if I'm allowed to mention other television programs on this one, but New Zealand Grand Designs, they featured it this week, and it's quite a spectacular build. We've been let in today for a look around, and it is an amazing building, and some fabulous photos there as well, so well worth a read, that story. And sports lift out tomorrow as well. Lots of rugby on. We've got the big Southern Derby between Otago and Southland tomorrow. Otago top of the table, looking to cement that, and Southland really need a win to try and make the semis. And of course the All Blacks as well. And our sports editor Steve Hepburn's had a look at the changes of the All Blacks ahead of this final, Bledisloe. But interesting enough, not a Highlander to be seen in either the starting 15 or the reserves, and first time in 6 years that's happened. So don't know if we should boycott them or not, but
I think we should.
Yeah.
Thanks,
right.
Craig.
Thank you.
All that and more in tomorrow's ODT. Time now for a look at the weather.
Tonight's weather proudly brought to you by Mole Map.
Beginning with the southern view, not the most useful place for a road cone in North Dunedin. Looking at the situation, expect changeable weather for the next few days as fronts pass south of the region and low pressure systems move across the North Island. Starting off at the northwest of the South Island, you're in for rain with 17 degrees in Greymouth and Westport. To the northeast of Te Waiponamu, take the brolly for showers in Nelson with 21 degrees, while there are scattered showers and 20 degrees for you in Blenheim. In Canterbury, cloudy skies and showers across this area, 16 degrees for Kaikoura. There is also clouds and showers with 13 degrees in Christchurch, and showers continue in Ashburton, where you can expect 12 degrees. To the southern towns, light easterlies and cloudy skies prevail with 11 degrees in the Catlins. The wind is from the west for Balclutha, Lumsden and Gore, and you're all set for 14 degrees. Travelling westwards to the Central Lakes, light winds and skies clearing across this region, planned for 15 degrees in Wanaka, with 14 degrees for Queenstown, Alexandra and Te Anau. And to the northern towns, variable winds and cloudy skies up here, with 13 degrees for Timaru, 12 in Oamaru, and heading inland, cloud is set to burn away over here, with 15 degrees for Omarama and Twizel. In Dunedin, rain easing tonight with cold southerlies and an overnight low of 8 degrees. Showers clearing tomorrow morning and cloud breaks a little in the afternoon with a few sunny periods developing. A high of 11 and a low of 8. Sunny periods at first on Saturday, but overcast with periods of rain in the afternoon and evening. A high of 14 and a low of 8. And in Invercargill, showers clearing tonight, expect an overnight low of 7 degrees. Mostly cloudy and rather cold at first tomorrow with southerly winds dying out. Sunny periods increase later in the day. Your high should be 12 and low of 8. Cloud increasing with rain developing on Saturday with fresh cold southwesterlies, a high of 13 and a low of 8. And that's all from the South Today team for this Thursday. For the latest news from the southern region, head online to odt.co.nz and follow Channel 39 on Facebook and YouTube. As it's Guy Fawkes tonight, look after your animals in your care and don't let off fireworks near animals or pets that may get spooked. Have a great evening. Ka kite anō.
This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.